I am so frustrated. I am seeing a number of my mutuals today making content saying free speech is dead on multiple social media platforms, not just on TikTok. Because Jimmy Kimmel got fired by a corporation, because Disney is being a pillar of support under fascism, and they think that it will be more profitable for them and they can get their mergers that they want, their acquisitions that they want, if they do whatever Donald Trump and the FCC chair say. Free speech is not dead, y'all. Stop doing that. Stop handing your rights over to a fascist regime. Corporations are being pillars of support to fascism. Corporations are doing the thing that we knew they would do, which is, absolutely prioritize their own profit, maximize their dividends for their shareholders under the authoritarian regime of Donald Trump. They are refusing to stand up for the rule of law and for democracy. And instead they're like, how can we make a buck under this? Oh, if we have to fire Jimmy Kimmel because it makes it easier for us to massage the regime to change rules so that we can acquire other companies that we want, Nexstar or whatever, they're going to fucking do it. Corporations are not moral. Corporations don't give a shit about democracy. They give a shit about their profit. That doesn't mean that your free speech rights are dead. We do know that the regime is going to do everything it can to advance its authoritarian agenda. We do know Donald Trump, from day one, his desire has been to roll back your rights, to take away your rights, and to institute an authoritarian dictatorship in the United States. So the fact that he is trying to do that should not surprise you. But free speech is not dead. And specifically what I mean by that is you have to continue to exercise your rights in order to preserve them. When you say shit like free speech is, when you, from your TikTok platform with hundreds of thousands of followers, or on your, Facebook page with hundreds of thousands of followers, say shit like free speech is dead now, all you're doing is making your followers afraid to exercise their constitutional right to free speech. All you're doing is frightening them into silence, into backing down and trying to appease the regime by obeying in advance. Don't do that. If you have a large social media platform, you have an obligation at this point in time to be defending democracy, to be encouraging your audience to exercise their rights. Our rights must be defended. We do not hand them over. Because Donald Trump has said, I can get anybody fired. I want to get fired. I can pull these corporations' broadcasting licenses because, I'm a fragile snowflake and MAGA are a bunch of fragile snowflakes and they hurt our feelings, or they said something that, threatened the regime. Cool. We knew they were going to try and do that. And the right response is everybody gets out in the street and exercises their right to free speech. Everybody continues to exercise their right to free speech. And we do it in coordinated, massive displays of tons of people saying, absolutely not. These are my rights. I will defend them. I will use them. Stop telling your audience, stop telling people who follow your content that it's all over and their rights don't exist. It's too late because fucking Jimmy Kimmel got fired. Now is the time more than ever that you should be encouraging people, hey, you need to stand up and use your rights. You need to exercise your right to free speech. You need to educate your audience. Again, talking to my mutuals, educate your audience that what the regime is doing is trying to chill dissent. They are trying to make you afraid to exercise your rights. They're trying to make you afraid to go protest in public. They're trying to make you afraid to criticize the regime in public. They're trying to make you afraid to do anything because you think maybe you might lose your job, or maybe you might get arrested, or there might be some kind of retaliation. They're trying to scare people into submission. And I'm sorry, but we're at a point now. If you have a platform and if you are an influencer and you influence people's opinion, you need to think about what side of history you want to be on. You need to think about whether your priority is making rage bait content, is making inflammatory content that gets tons of clicks because it scares the shit out of people, or whether you have an obligation to use your platform to help save democracy. Because the thing that we all need to be doing right now is encouraging, motivating people, giving them accurate information, and helping people understand we all have a role to play here in resisting fascism. Honestly, I'm just sort of reaching a point where if your content is really about you creating something that's going to go viral so that you can, cha-ching, get that big fat paycheck for all those views, or if because you yourself are feeling really demoralized and you're really scared and so you're going to put your feelings all over your audience, I'm running out of patience with you. Please think about the fact that you influence other people. Your words shape other people's perspective and actions. Free speech is not over. The First Amendment is not dead. Stop that. Stop doing that. Be accurate with your words, describe what is happening, and explain to your audience why it is that they need to take, what the correct thing is to do. And if you don't know, if you see something really scary happening in the news and you have your big fucking platform and you don't know what the right thing to do is, like get fucking educated, or point people to experts who can help, grassroots organizations that can help. The thing we all need to be doing is empowering and mobilizing people to stand up and resist, because Donald Trump cannot win if we continue fighting. If we refuse to concede and hand over our constitutional rights, he cannot win. Please understand the reason Trump is threatening all of us so hard, the reason he is desperate to silence all of us, is because he is old, he is frail, what he's doing is deeply unpopular with the American people. More and more people are organizing, more and more people are getting fed up and saying, how do we stop this? The escalation of his rhetoric and his tactics is evidence of how desperate he is, how fragile his position is. Ezra and Leah from Indivisible were talking about this today, and I completely agree with them. The way that we stop this, the way that we get out of this terrible position that we're in, where Donald Trump is trying to strip away our rights and institute a reign of terror all across this country, is that we continue to organize, we continue to exercise our rights, we continue to draw more people in, we build our power, we do our work in the open. We will not be scared into hiding. We will not be scared into giving up our rights. We exercise our First Amendment rights out in the open, like everything is fine and normal, because it should be normal in the United States of America to exercise your First Amendment rights. Donald Trump and his regime, they are the ones who are extreme. What do you mean? What do you mean that we don't have free speech? What do you mean that you get to fire comedians? That's outrageous. That's nonsensical. That's clearly like something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with this administration. Because in the United States of America, we have the right to protected speech. In the United States of America, we don't get punished for saying things that people disagree with or like making jokes. Americans do not want to see their comedians fired. They do not want to see their freedom of speech taken away. Americans do not like what is happening. They do not like the oppressive tactics of the regime. Donald Trump is threatening us because he's desperate, because what he's doing is incredibly unpopular, and the people are absolutely fed up with it. The only way that we get out of this situation is by organizing. The only way we get out of this situation is we got to go through it and get to the other side. If you back down, if you collapse into yourself, if you go run and hide, if you hand over your rights and stop exercising them, if you back down because you are afraid, then the regime wins. If you refuse to back down and you continue to exercise, if you continue to speak even though your voice shakes, if you continue to exercise your rights, they cannot win. It's all about scaring you into submission. So when you, as a creator, or whatever, you as an individual who maybe doesn't have a big social media account, are saying shit like, the First Amendment is gone, it's all over, it's too late, you are just encouraging other people to obey in advance. You are encouraging other people to give up their rights. You are doing the work of the regime. You are demoralizing people. You are scaring the shit out of people. The only person who benefits when you do that is Donald Trump. So maybe you want to think about whether you want to go down in the history books as somebody who aided the regime, scared people into submission, so that you could make, a viral video, because scary shit gets a lot more clicks on social media. Like, come on, you're an influencer. Use your account to influence people to stand up for their rights and save our country from a fascist takeover. Remind people of the truth that we have the power. We have to work together. We have to organize. We have to aggregate that power by coming together and refusing to back down, refusing to give up our rights. The First Amendment is alive and well. It's time we all start using it.